This December, I've been painting my idea of some Christmas songs, and so far I have painted 3 other ones. The first one was Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, second Silver Bells, We Wish You a Merry Christmas, and now it is We Three Kings of Orient are. Okay, so I can't sing, obviously. Unfortunately, I can't put in any music because of copyright laws, but we can still enjoy the painting, and it's really clear that this is about We Three Kings. So the paper I'm using is specifically for acrylic painting, and that's why I thought I would try it out. It's my first time to use it. It's Fabriano Acrylico Pittura. It's cold press and 185 pounds. I will make a video later on my thoughts on this paper, but for now let me just walk you through how I painted this. You already have access to all of the colors, and I also mix those colors with some acrylic gel medium just to kind of slow down the drying process. My room is quite warm and the heater's blowing, and that was really causing my paints to dry very quickly, as you'll see as I'm painting. On the right side, I'm trying to keep it bright and yellow. I don't care if the colors mix. I do want little streaks of color here and there. It makes a more dramatic night sky. It's better than just a flat expanse behind, so I just wanted some creativity there. The color that really added a lot of drama into the sky was the copper. And I put a streak or 2 of copper at the end of layer 1, and here I'm going to put more layers and more streaks with that copper. Right now this is layer 2 and I'm glazing, meaning I have just a lot of water and some paint, but it's just a light layer that's going on the top. On the right side there was orange and yellow glazing. On the left side there's the copper glazing, and some of that copper glazing has orange streaked in just to tone it down. And now I'm putting more orange on the top part and a little bit more blue on the bottom. Let it dry, and we're ready to put in the star. The star was done obviously in several layers also. I think it was with 3 layers each time it dried between. The way I'm doing those star streaks is I start with the flat brush at an angle, and as I draw that brush towards me, I push down as I approach the middle of the star, and then lift up as I pull to the end. It's a little harder when you're pushing that brush. Took a lot of practice. I was really holding my breath a lot of times. And I do the same with the white on the inner part, but I try not to fill the yellow streaks with white. I'm just putting the white in the center of those lines. And now with a round brush, I am just heightening the center of that star with more white. And I'm going to put in some streaks also. This is really easy with either the flat or the round. That round is quite heavy barreled, holds quite a bit of paint, so that's why I like using it. And again, I am pushing and pulling the paint in straight streaks, and again, I was holding my breath. I think the secret of doing that is to plan where you're going to put those streaks, hold your breath, and just force yourself to do them straight. Okay, we're on to the other stars, the minor stars, and I don't want to have just all the same kind of like cross stars and round stars, so I put a little bit of diversity in the sky. Tried to keep a lot of those white stars in the upper part and just a few speckles in the lower part. I did try to flick my brush, put a lot of acrylic on the brush and then spatter it. I'm just not really successful with acrylics doing that. I'm going to have to get like a special dedicated brush for that. Anyway, I'll practice that one later. Well, it's time to transfer our image. This image is from Pixabay. I will share it. I did modify it quite a bit. I heightened up the points and the peaks, changed some curves and added some angles. And I think it's a pretty good looking picture for a silhouette. Also, it's only a silhouette in Pixabay, and I wanted to color it a little bit, but I will share the link for you and you can modify it if you want also. And of course, color it your style. My silhouette is not going to be black. I dislike using black. So I'm using the Carmine red and Cobalt Blue. I also added a touch more blue because I wanted some parts to have a bluer purple and the option of having a redder purple. That's why I mixed kind of a rainbow of purples up there. Not many, but it does add more interest when you're looking at the silhouette. And yes, I am going very slowly. I am taking my time. This is something you want to do. This is fine detail. You don't want to rush it. No one's going to see this process. You see my process. But no one is going to see the process of you taking the time. They will see the end product, but not the process. So I can't see my outline actually. You saw me flip back the paper a few minutes ago, and that was because I was trying to transfer using a graphite transfer. It didn't work up in the oranges, and so I couldn't see anything. So I used a white tracing paper. I think it's a white graphite paper. And I was able to, put down some light image. Again, I'm copying on copper, and so it's not copying super well. I can see it. There's a little bit of a glare, so I can't see it well, and I don't want to put darker lines down. So I thought, okay, to my inconvenience, because I want good art later, I'm going to do, the fine detail very carefully. So these legs are really picky. I changed the feet and a little bit of the angle. I just wanted more graceful lines. I did elongate the legs a little bit. I just like them. Looks kind of more stately. You still know it's a camel, certainly. I think it's called the hock, or the back of the knee, or whatever it is. I tried to make them more pointed, and this is a silhouette. So you want your silhouette to be kind of slightly exaggerated just for the effect. This is not total realism, and that's fine. So I did really hype up these angles of the legs. The feet are not correct, but you do know that camel feet are wide and splayed. That's so they can walk on top of the sand without sinking into it. So I kind of added that effect. I think the picture that I have, I don't think there's any kind of feet. So you can look at when you do this picture, you can look at the feet that I did, or you can go online and find others. But I don't think there are feet there. And you don't even have to do it. It was a little bit picky to kind of imagine how those feet would be. I'm doing the crown, his nose, and then his beard. This is really picky work. I'm using a size 2 flat brush, and whenever I do like the tip of the crown or the beard, I use just the side of the brush, and I can get pretty good detail. In a few minutes, I'm going to switch over to a size 0 just so I can get finer marks. I'm still able to do okay with this one. You saw me fighting with my brush and my paints because I said before that my heating element is on in my room. It is quickly drying out those paints. I did initially use some of that gel medium when I was putting down that base layer of paint, and it did slow the drying process so that I could add in some other paints. Like I said, the air is almost blowing right on my canvas. That was a little bit of a problem. I could also add that gel medium into these paints. Not much, but it would be enough to kind of dilute the paint without adding water. This is not a canvas, it's paper. It's not your cotton framed canvas. So it's not going to take the same beating of liquid as others. And I noticed that when I was drying that foundation layer, the paper buckled quite badly, and I was quite surprised. I think I had to freshen the paint 1 or 2 other times. It was either that or turn off my heating unit. Nope. It's wintertime. Nope. So this is also when I start switching to that size 0 from the 2 flat. I did the curl of his toe, or his like sultan slipper or king slipper, and I tweaked some other areas with that size 0. But for the most part, I used a flat brush for this painting. I would say size 4 probably for the body, just in a few areas, just the initial areas. Then I quickly moved down to the size 2 for the crown, beard, body, and certainly those legs. And now once in a while you'll see me pick up the 0. I didn't use the round at all. I think about the only time I used the round in this painting was for the center of that star. You'll see me buttering the paints. I move my brush back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And this is because they're clumping a bit because of the heat that's blowing on them. And you want your paints to flow smoothly, especially when you're working with such fine detail. So you butter them. You butter them, you make them smooth, get them so they flow very nicely off of your brush, and then you'll have a pretty nice painting. I know I've said this before, but actually I don't know about you, spend more time with my brush on the palette, mixing those colors, than I do with the brush on the canvas. So when people say, you know, all we're doing is painting a picture, no, you're doing more than painting a picture. You are mixing colors. Your skill set is much higher than just painting a picture. And you can see me, I'm right now looking at copper and gold and red, and those colors blend beautifully, especially for, you know, adding to this king. You can't just add these kind of colors to the king and expect them to look great. Those colors are dark. That's a really dark purple. So to get them to look like red or gold, I have to put them down in one layer and then put another layer on top. And I found to get the red to pop against the blue or that purple, it's already red based. So the red is sinking in visually to that blue red, the purple. You can't really see it. So to get that red visible, I actually had to paint on several layers, but the best way was to put a layer of gold down or copper and then glaze red on top of that. That was great. That added a lot of color, dimension, it brought in different kinds of light. That was really good. This is what I'm doing right now with the king's jacket, his coat. And on his, that cloth, whatever that's hanging off his back, hair, whatever, his crown, that was probably 3 or 4 layers of red. First 2 layers, I didn't hardly see any color change. The gold does pretty much pop against that purple. Look at the red. That's the first layer of red. Here's a second, but it's not dry. So it's better when a layer dries and then you add another layer and then another. This is still wet. When it dries, it will be a darker. It will take on a lot of that purple color underneath. So much like watercolor in this kind of a situation, watercolor fades when it dries because of the water factor. The pigment is left. Well, right now I have just a little bit of water in this acrylic, but because the base layer is purple, that red will kind of sink into the purple when it dries, and it interacts. That purple interacts with the visual field of the reds. That's why you don't see a lot of red. That's why you need to add another color. That's why you need to add another layer and another layer. love that copper and red together. It's really bright, it's beautiful. Mix that in with some gold. Just vary these. I'm just using 3 colors here. Gold, red, and copper. And then I did add a little bit of blue just to add a little variety, and the blue looks really nice against that orange background. Gold on red looks really nice too. That's what I needed to do. And I don't know visually, can you see what I just did? But one camel no longer has a rump because I didn't give him a rump. I didn't catch this little mistake until I was taking pictures, and I'm thinking, wow, I have a strong recommendation for you guys. If you like your art, that's great, but take a picture of it. Don't just look at your own art. Take a picture of it and look at it like it's a photo. You will be so critical of your own work. And that's when I was looking, and I'm like, wait, there's no third rump. Well, on one, yeah, you need a third rump. So it was really easy. I just took blue and red and made a purple and painted, I think, 2 layers on top, and I was fine. I'm just making this up as I go, layer on layer, and I change it. I lost a lot of video footage at the end. I have an iPad 128 gigabyte, and it has such a tiny memory. I often lose the end of my videos. It's sad. Anyway, so let's look at what I'm doing now. This is like one of the later steps. I needed to pop some color. It was looking kind of dull. And so I mixed in a little yellow with gold. I didn't want straight yellow. It's too bright against all of these deeper colors. But a little yellow with gold to pop just a few colors on maybe the camel's chains or whatever it's wearing, maybe a spot on the crown, and that was it. What I lost on the video, and which was actually pretty good for final, wrap-ups, was the white. The yellow was just too bright, so I did finally back down and decide to put in just a little bit of a white in some of the areas where I'm putting the yellow in right now. Wow, did that make a difference. It was great. Just a little bit, because this is supposed to be a dark painting, but just that little bit of white kind of reflecting the star was really good for finalizing my picture. Well, these are some pictures of the process. I really hope you enjoyed this tutorial. I will soon have a full tutorial up, and until then, why don't you hit that subscribe and wait for it. It will be out soon.